In today's video, we will be discussing the 5 most crucial states of the 2024 presidential election. And you want to stick to the end of today's video when we discuss truly the most contentious state of them all. Now, starting at number 5 here is the state of Wisconsin. The state of Wisconsin is one of the 3 crucial Rust Belt states that ended up flipping to Joe Biden, handing him the presidency. Now, this was the closest state out of the 3 and this state with the smallest population and hence this lowest amount of electoral votes. This is also considered the reddest of the 3 of the Rust Belt states, and Joe Biden won it by less than a point. Now, the reason this state is important is that Republicans, someone like Donald Trump, for instance, really needs to flip the state to have any shot of at the presidency as it stands right now. Because if Trump is unable to win the state of Wisconsin, for instance, he's probably going to end up losing Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. Pretty much he'll end up losing presidency if he is unable to win the state of Wisconsin. This state is also important because it will end up demonstrating again how well Donald Trump will end up doing in the entirety of the Rust Belt, and if again mathematically it's going to be impossible for Trump to end up winning the presidential election without winning the state of Wisconsin. There's a lot of working class voters in the state that Trump was able to turn in 2016, and that was why Trump won the presidency. If he is unable to get that in 2024, he's not going to win the presidential election. Now, going to number 4 here is the state of Arizona. The state of Arizona is quite a contrast to the state of Wisconsin. The state of Arizona here is one of the smaller electoral states in terms of the electoral vote count, with holding 11 electoral votes. This is a fast-growing state in terms of population, and a state that has been trending blue since 2000 and pretty much in the last couple of decades. Now, the reason this state is crucial is because Democrats have been able to really overperform here in the state due to 2 largest counties in the state, the counties of Maricopa and the counties of Pima, making up pretty much 75 to 80% of the state's population. These 2 counties, they have been trending blue towards the Democratic Party by substantial margins. And essentially, Republicans and Democrats alike need to win the state, but especially the Republican Party. If Republicans are unable to hold the state of Arizona in 2024, it's going to be a real challenge for them to hold it in future elections, because the state is only going to become bluer and bluer. Furthermore speaking, the state of Arizona shows just how well Democrats and Republicans are able to grasp white college-educated voters, because Arizona is a relatively college-educated voter state, and also because of the fact that there's a lot of suburbanites in the Phoenix metropolitan area. If Republicans are able to win the state of Arizona, that will be able to show that Republicans are still able to do pretty well with suburban voters. But if Democrats are able to continuously hold the state of Arizona, that will be a good sign for the Democratic Party, considering that will show that their Sun Belt appeal will be increasing, and in about a couple of decades after Democrats are able to consistently hold the state of Arizona, they're going to be able to flip Texas, and it will be game over for the Republican Party. So the state of Arizona is also very important for the Democratic Party and the Republican Party alike. Now, going to number 3 here, that will be the state of Georgia. The state of Georgia essentially demonstrates how well Democrats are able to get with suburban turnout of white college-educated voters, along with black voters in the Atlanta region. Now, the reason Georgia is very important is, first of all, it holds a lot of electoral significance. 16 electoral votes could have easily decided the presidential election. Also, because the state is a state that Joe Biden was able to flip in 2020, and arguably the most surprising flip out of them all. Georgia was expected by most people to remain in the Republican column, while states like North Carolina and Florida may have flipped to Democrats according to pundits. That did not end up actually happening. The state of Georgia is crucial because the state of Georgia is able to show how well Democrats are able to do with black voters, because there's a substantial black population in Atlanta, as well as how well Republicans are able to do with rural voters, and really how well both parties are able to do with suburbanites. If Democrats continuously improve in the Atlanta region, that would mean that Republicans really aren't going to end up winning future elections, because Democrats, if they're able to continuously build on the suburban margins that they were able to get in 2020, that would be really, really good for Democrats. While Republicans are able to reverse some of those trends and win the state of Georgia, their math becomes a lot easier in 2024. Say, for instance, that Democrats win the state of Georgia. They're also likely to win a similar state, the state of Arizona. And that gets Democrats to 238. We've not talked about states like New Hampshire and Minnesota, where they're very likely to win. And really, then the math becomes really difficult for Republicans. But if Republicans are able to hold the state of Georgia and hold the states they typically do end up holding, that would be pretty good for the Republican Party. Now, coming up at number 2 is the state of Michigan. The state of Michigan also holds 50 electoral votes, so a lot of electoral votes, and therefore it holds a lot of electoral significance. This is a state that's a must-win for Democrats, not so much for Republicans. Why not so much for Republicans? If we look at the math again, if Republicans were to win the state of Michigan, they'd probably win the entire Rust Belt, including the states of Wisconsin and Pennsylvania. Because again, Michigan is the bluest state out of the 3 Rust Belt states. They're gonna hold the state of Texas, they're gonna hold the state of Florida, and that brings them to 262. They're probably gonna hold North Carolina, and that's gonna get them the presidency. Not to mention, there's still a couple states up for contention. So generally, if the state of Michigan goes to the Republican Party, it's pretty much GG's for the Democrats. However, Democrats do need the state of Michigan, as I previously demonstrated. Now, the state of Michigan also is important because it also shows how well Democrats and Republicans are alike able to turn out voters. It shows how well Republicans are able to turn out rural voters to end up voting for them, and how well Democrats are able to do in some of the suburban regions. For example, take Oakland County, a county with a heavy working class population, also a very suburban county, a county that Democrats and Republicans alike need to do well in. Now, in 2016, 2020, the county shifted 6 points to the Democratic Party, a county with more than 750,000 votes, more than 760,000 votes, in fact. So that was why pretty much Republicans end up losing the state of Michigan, because they weren't able to do well with suburbanites. A key in the state is how well you do with these suburban voters in counties like Oakland, Kent, and counties like Livingston, Ingham, and Eden County, for example. Now, finally, the most important state out of them all is the state of Pennsylvania. Now, that's really not very surprising. The state of Pennsylvania is a state with 20 electoral votes, a very populated state compared to some of the other Rust Belt states, as well as some of the other competitive states in other regions in the United States. The reason the state of Pennsylvania is so important is because it helps with the math. If Democrats are able to hold the state of Pennsylvania, in all likelihood they will hold the state of Michigan, and they're already at 245, while Republicans are able to hold the states they generally hold and able to hold the state of Pennsylvania. Their math is also pretty good. So the state of Pennsylvania, in pretty much all cases, is gonna end up being the bellwether, the state that will end up deciding the presidential election. Now, the state of Pennsylvania also contains a couple of keys. To win the state of Pennsylvania on the Republican side, they have to bank on a Republican rural turnout, because Democrats are not going to vote for them in some of these suburban/exurban counties. Now, for some of the areas like Democrats that need to do well in, that includes the areas of Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, and the Philadelphia suburbs. In recent years, it has shown that Philadelphia suburbs are the key for Democrats to win the state. If they're able to have high turnout in the Philadelphia suburbs and high numbers in those counties, they're going to be able to win the state. Now, again, the state also shows for the rest of the Rust Belt states. Generally, Pennsylvania votes with the states of Wisconsin and Michigan, and those 3 states combined holds 45 electoral votes, which is a crucial 45 electoral votes in order to win the general election. Hillary Clinton would have won in 2016 had she won all 3 of these states. Furthermore speaking, the county also is pretty reflective of the entire United States. It has some rural regions, it has some exurban regions here in light red, it has some exurban regions here in light blue, and it has cities such as Pittsburgh, Allentown, which is Lehigh County, and also Philadelphia. Anyways, for a recap here, the 5 most important states in 2024 are the states of Wisconsin at number 5, Arizona at number 4, Georgia at number 3, Michigan at number 2, and Pennsylvania as the most important slash crucial state of 2024. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day. Goodbye.